Buongiorno a tutti, sono Francesca Froio e nel video di oggi
Good morning everyone, I'm Francesca Froio and in today's video we'll talk about corrections. We'll focus on how to correct with skin tones, so how to delete some little parts of an old semi-permanent makeup. So changing the shape, when it's possible and when it isn't, we'll discover it together in this video. So, I know that for all of you this is a sore point because corrections in our fields are very common. They became popular because many people unfortunately try to do this job, a difficult job, without studying it, without investing in a proper education. And unfortunately, sometimes they can cause very serious damages. But today we'll talk about less serious damages that we can fix with semi-permanent makeup and not with laser. Let's imagine we have a client that still has an old semi-permanent makeup that is fading. So we can still see it, but is not that evident. She comes to us to retouch her old semi-permanent makeup, and we realize that the previous shape that was drawn on her by the previous esthetician is not ideal for her face, or it can be done better. So we go into the design phase of preparatory drawing that could emphasize her features better. In doing so, we realize that a small part of the old treatment comes out. For example, the tail of the brow. In the previous treatment, the line was longer, and in the new one, the shape of the line is slightly shorter. So there's still between 3, 4, 5 millimeters of old treatment that stay uncovered. What do we do? So it's true that laser is the best option to remove, and that with semi-permanent makeup the word remove doesn't really exist. The only thing that we can do is minimize some parts, making them less visible. If the client agrees with this strategy, we can propose to her a new shape that for sure she will like much better because it opens up the look much more. And leaving an old part of the old treatment out, we have two options. Option one, leaving that part out, and the client will simply apply a concealer or foundation in that area, and slowly over time that part in that spot will fade. It's a process that could take 3 to 4 to 5 years. Or option two, if the treatment allows it, and we'll see it very soon, we can go and make a mini correction. So execute the eyebrow treatment as if it was a brand new one. But that small part that is left out, and we're going to focus on that in this video, we can go and treat it with skin tones. And in this way we can go and minimize it, make it less visible. I never want to use the word remove, and you shouldn't either when you speak to your client, because you might give the wrong message and probably false hopes. Surely what you're proposing to her is an improvement to her initial situation, so usually if done correctly, this camouflage, this correction is beautiful and is a great improvement. It's improvement for the shape, the look, the feel, because the client will feel much more self-confident with our new eyebrow shape that will last even longer. One thing though we need to consider, which is the only rule in this treatment, we need to verify that the previous semi-permanent makeup is really faded. This technique that I'm going to explain to you today, actually these two techniques, these two ways of performing the same treatment, the correction, can be done only if the old treatment is very, very faded. We can't go and remove a treatment that are still saturated in color, very dark and rich in color. These, even if the shape is completely wrong, but the color is very dark, the only way to effectively remove it is laser. The treatment is faded and I can still see the skin color underneath. At that point we can treat it. Obviously, I don't recommend to do this technique on a whole brow, but only on small areas of it, the ones that come out of the new shape that we created. To do so, we'll use skin tones. Let's see the palette that we can choose from the Biotek colors. Biotek colors are divided into 3 types: fair, medium, and tan. Fair skin, medium fair skin, and dark skin. They're very easy to select because the choice is very intuitive. Fair skin usually tends to a rose pink tone, medium tends to a yellow tone, and the tan tends to brown orange. So the color that I use the most for these kind of treatments, when I do them here in Italy on phototypes that are similar to mine, Mediterranean phototypes, I use a lot the fair 2, fair 3, and medium 1. These are the ones that I think are the best passepartouts on our skin types. I will show you all of them. I will show you the whole palette on my arm. It's quite easy to choose. You'll have to choose based on your client's phototype. One doesn't work for everybody. You'll have to pick at least one for every kind. One fair, one medium, and one tan. If you're specializing on corrections or you're a professional that does it often, I recommend you to have more than one. They go from the lightest to the darkest, so fair 1 is lighter than fair 2, and fair 3 is darker, medium 1 is the lightest, medium 2 and medium 3 are the darkest. The ones that we use the most on our skin types are fair 2, fair 3, and medium 1. So I hope that this explanation of colors was useful for you, and you can choose what's best for you and your clients. An important thing to consider when we do these kind of corrections is that we're using skin tones, so they contain lots of white. White in our field is called titanium dioxide. This raw material should alarm you, meaning there's a lot of different kind of titanium dioxide. The high quality ones are stable over time. If I choose a skin tone today, it will stay the same over time. The white contained in the skin tones, if the titanium dioxide is not good quality but is a cheap one, over time it will turn yellow, changing the correction that we've done in the treatment. So Biotek in the choice and making of colors for the correction of the skin uses only titanium dioxide of prime quality, certified and safe. With that said, another thing to consider is that the titanium dioxide is a molecule that stays a long time in the skin. Very, very, very long time. More than anything. A semi-permanent makeup color is created from various pigments molecules. They can be yellow, a little red, black, a little organic, white, green, white. Between all these molecules that mix together create the color of your choice, white is the color that stays longer in the skin. What does it mean? That if I use the white color, I have to know that it will stay visible in our client's skin for a very, very long time. It won't be absorbed like other colors. Typically, the eyebrows color are absorbed faster because they don't have titanium dioxide. They don't contain any white color. Lip colors are reabsorbed slower. I ask my client to come back for a retouch after 3-4 years. Why? Because they contain titanium dioxide. Skin colors contain a lot of titanium dioxide, so they last very, very long time. Let's keep it in mind when we do a correction. We need to be sure that this can work for the future years. And we need to be very careful to not overdo it with the use of these corrections for the skin. Because I don't want to say they're permanent, because they're not an ink tattoo for the whole life. They don't have any synthetic resins inside, but they're very, very, very long lasting. And also, titanium dioxide is very, very hard to remove even with laser. So if you make a mistake in the correction, your client couldn't even go to a doctor for laser to remove it. And this is the reason why I care and I want to warn you about the risks, so you can take the corrections with skin tones that contain a lot of white. You can take it very seriously, because what you do today is almost permanent and irreversible. So, with that said, we saw what we need for the skin tones, we saw what kind of treatment we can correct, and at this point I want to show you the technique. And to talk about it, I'd like to explain it to you with drawings so you can have a clear idea. Also because I want you to be very informed very well about this delicate procedure. Let's see it in the blackboard. So we can see concretely these two techniques that we can use to correct, let's say, unwanted things. Let's say, I don't know if you can see it in the camera, I try to be more realistic. We have our beautiful eyebrows that we drew with the preparatory drawing, with the correct shape, but we have a small piece that comes out from an old treatment with a shape that obviously we want to correct. So let's take the color that we chose, and we have two versions, two ways of performing the treatment. Either we take a 3-point needle soft liner, and vertically with the 3-pointed needle we go and make lots of little dots, starting from the perimeter. Vertically we go in and out very fast. We don't stay too long in the skin, but we go and we have to be very fast. So first of all, we do lots of little dots close to each other along the perimeter to delimitate the perimeter. After that, without cleaning yet, we go and fill in the rest. We use a 3-point needle because we want that these dots, after they heal, after 30 days, they spread and they become blur. So it's not really compact or saturated, but it looks naturally like a skin. So that doesn't really have the same color. Okay, so what we did is that we did a lot of dots. We can clean them and we can go on with the second layer of dots. In the second layer, I intensify them, more dots in the area, but slowly I start to spread them out and make dots where there's no correction to do, so in the normal skin. So I intensify the dots and put more in the part that I want to remove, that I want to delete. But I don't put them only here, but I extend them also outside the area. So let's imagine that this area will be very saturated, and slowly, the more I go from the outside, these dots become a little bit faded, so they get lost.
Ok, questo diciamo l'effetto che vogliamo ottenere. Mi raccomando, importantissimo.
Okay, so this is the effect that we want to achieve.
Questo trattamento deve essere eseguito in 2
Please be careful, it's very important, is not to saturate the area too much. This treatment needs to be executed in 2 sessions at least. You can do even 3 sessions, but never in 1 session, because you can't joke with white. With titanium dioxide, you can't joke. You need to be careful. We should never be in a situation where that part is completely white or skin tone. That would be a disaster, because in that case we'll have the certainty of having saturated too much the area, and there's very terrible consequences to that. So it's important to know when to stop. This is enough, we'll send the client home, and the second time, when she comes back after 30-40 days, we'll do the whole process again. Time after time, you'll see that the pigment will heal and it will mix with the natural skin tone. So when the client will expose herself to the sun, won't have a stain, a white stain of titanium dioxide, but she can tan, definitely fair area of the skin, but it won't bother her. And this is what we want to achieve with modern semi-permanent makeup. The corrections can be done, but they can be done like 10 years ago. We have to be aware. So we take our 3-pointed needle, the color, the skin tone that we chose, and in this way we go and make little dots. You can see how I'm very fast in the movement I make entering the skin. I make sure that the needle doesn't stay too long in the skin. Rather, I move very fast. I'm very superficial. This is because I'm using a 3-pointed needle versus a 1-point needle. I clean it. After the first layer, you can already see, if I zoom in, that in areas where I went just even once, you can see the dots are lighter. It's not enough, of course, so I need to go with a second layer. Same thing. with dots that are closer to each other,
poi pian piano
where I want to cover the area more.
allargo, oltre
And
la zona
slowly,
cancellare, vado a diradare.
when I spread out, I go and spread the dots out.
Ho fatto il secondo, sono al terzo passaggio ora. Vedete com'è
After the second layer, we do a third layer.
fare tutto in un unico passaggio?
You can see how important it is to not overdo it in only one session.
Quanto pigmento stiamo impiantando.
You need to take your time to see how much pigment you put on the skin.
Per voi.
I didn't want to cut not even one step for you,
Realistico, vi voglio proprio portare con me in una vera e propria
because I want you to see the reality of the treatment as if you were my eyes.
Guardate già, questo è dopo 3 passaggi e già si vede molto.
You can see that this is after the third layer and is already way less visible. This is the fourth layer.
Penso che ormai il movimento sia perfettamente chiaro a tutti.
I think that by now you perfectly understood the movement.
Quello che vorrei che notaste quando pulirò quest'ultimo passaggio è che comunque
What I want you to
non
notice
sarà
when I clean this
completamente
last
coperta
layer is
la mia
that
vecchia coda da cancellare.
the old tail won't be completely
Si
covered.
intraveda ancora un alone. Questo è veramente importante.
You can still see
Non
it,
voglio assolutamente che
and this is very important.
in eccesso con un color pelle.
I don't want you to saturate the area too much with the skin color. It doesn't have to look like a white stain.
Vi faccio vedere
You can see that slowly is disappearing.
diverse parti. Anche per esempio
I'll show you how this technique could be applied to a different area.
adesso vediamo una seconda tecnica di esecuzione. Immaginiamoci di avere un'altra
Now we can
parte
see a
di
second technique of execution. Let's imagine to have another part that needs to be fixed, is gray or red, but the important is that is always very faded, almost transparent.
Selezioniamo il color pelle.
At this point we can focus on the correction if we select a skin tone that we chose. And this second treatment I'm showing you, we don't use the 3-pointed needle, but we use a classic 1-point needle.
In questo caso invece, come al solito,
My
il
favorites.
base è lo stesso, cioè non vogliamo
In this
saturare
way,
appieno questa zona.
as always, the base principle is the same.
Appena
We don't want to treat only the gray area.
se non hago una punta, ovviamente non andremo a fare dei puntini. Se li avessimo fatti questi puntini con la
With a 1-point needle, obviously, we're not going to make any dots. If we did that, we risk to go too deep in the skin. So we would put the pigment too deep in the derm. We want to work on the superficial derm, between the conjunction between the derm and the epidermis. So I take a 1-point needle, a classic one, and always with a 90-degree movement, I go and make a pixel movement that I'm going to simulate right here as if it was the skin. I go and make like a spoon movement from both sides, like a U or a C, in this way, very delicately. So I brush like that on the area. As always, I start from the perimeter.
Poi senza pulire, proseguo.
And after, without cleaning it, I'll keep going
Otterrò
in the area that needs to be treated.
sto ottenendo con un pennarello e una lavagna, ma mi rilascerà
I will have
come puntinato.
not this effect that I'm having with the pen on a blackboard,
Facendo questo movimento
but it will be like a dots-like effect. The feeling that you should have when you do this treatment is almost like you're scratching the epidermis. We obviously know that you're not scratching the epidermis, because in that way, if we put the color in the epidermis, you won't see it after 30 days. In reality, we are going deep, but it needs to be very superficial when you do it. Very small scratches, and after doing that, you clean it. So you need to do a second layer with the same movement, and in doing so, you go a little bit, if the pen will allow me to, you'll go further beyond the area that needs to be treated. So you'll go back to the area that needs to be treated, but also beyond it. In the end, the concept between these two techniques is very similar. They have lots of factors that are similar. First one is that you never have to saturate the area. And second, do not work only in the gray area, but extend the correction even on the healthy skin. To synthesize, I'll show you very quickly in the video. See you later. So we take our 1-point needle, a classic one in the skin color, and we start to make this pendulum movement, very delicate. We'll start from the perimeter, and slowly it's like we're scratching superficially the skin. Be careful not to saturate the area too much in one layer. But this technique can also be used in any area of the eyebrows. Same movement, very delicate. So it's not enough to have one layer, but you need to repeat the process at least 2-3 times, always very delicately. Did you now solve all your doubts about skin corrections? I really hope the answer is yes. I hope you'll try to replicate this procedure on your clients and strictly follow my tips and tricks. As we've learned today, this is a delicate procedure and we should pay proper attention in executing it. That's all for today. See you in the next video. Ciao!